There you go. Roll camera, Tita Dolly interview, take one. Click, click.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. I will accept that. I'm a unique. But every once in a while, I do find my doppelgangers. I can identify the ones that are like, oh, I was that 20 years ago. But maybe right now, how I am at this point in my life, at this age, yeah, I'm a unique. You're not going to find one like me. So my full name is Maria Dolores Soledad de los Santos Pangan-Specht. So when Mexicans, I will say Mexicans because they're from Mexico, so they're Mexicans, just like I'm Filipino, they would say, you have a Spanish name. I said, duh, history of the Philippines. And to borrow Jokoy's words, and for that matter, before Jokoy, it was Rex who said that. We are the Latinos of Asia.
We're the Los Latinos. We are the Chinese Chicanos. We are the Malaysian Mexicanos.
In the city of Tigard, there's a program, El Tigre, which is a Latino, a Latin event annually to celebrate that culture. But we have slowly been working out to getting to the point that I'm hoping it'll be a 50-50 Filipino-Latin event because we're cousins. Well, first of all, I'm the youngest of 11. So that starts there. It's innate that I would be rebellious just by nature. And in my family especially, it's a very achieved family. We had a reputation. And our father was the kind of patriarch who was very strict about keeping standards, reference to our family name. That was a huge thing. Besmirching our name was unforgivable. So with all siblings who are much older than me, and by the time I'm last, it's like even career choice. It's kind of like, oh, I'm out of career choice or whatever or something. Things I really wanted to do was it was actually forbidden. I wasn't encouraged. Like I wanted to be in showbiz, to just be entertaining. I loved the stage, but I was discouraged from doing that because I already had a brother who was a leading comedian in the Philippines, and it was going to be always a comparison. Oh, you're funny because you're his sister. It was never going to be about my own skill, my own talent. It was always going to be because it was in relation to somebody else being that before me. What does it mean to be different? I'm definitely the kind of person who thinks outside the box. I reject comments like, oh, that's the way it's done. That's the way it's always been done. That's the way we've always done it. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. People who can't think forward, who are not progressive in their thinking. Okay, wow, you've done great things. Let's celebrate that. But to stay in that spotlight is not my thing. It's like step away and create a new light. Because there's also kind of a slogan that says, my friends always said that, my family knows it, my neighborhood knows it, because all my neighbors, I live in a very white neighborhood, they're all gardeners, they all like work in the yard, as my husband does, because they like that nature thing. Well, guess what? Dolly don't do dirt. Growing up in the Philippines, we had a very huge garden, and we had gardeners, and then my grandma was always working in it. My mother wasn't. My mother was a professional. She was more like who I wanted to be like in terms of always well manicured, just put together. So even today, when there's events, Filipino events or whatever, they know, don't ask me to do kitchen. I do not do kitchen. Dolly, don't do dirt. That's just, if I had a bumper sticker, that's what's going to say. I don't like it when my grandkids now play in dirt. My kids never did because it was too much work. Like I bought them a sandbox when they were kids, but I would sanitize that sandbox. I mean, I would literally sift that sandbox on a daily basis, like a cat litter box. And then I would like powder it, that way it smells nice. I'd put Johnson's baby powder in a sandbox. I was like, I'm OCD. That's it too. I'm very OCD. So camping was never a attraction to me. I'm a hotel resort kind of girl. And I'm not even ashamed to admit it. One of my besties has this fantastic top-of-the-line camper. And she would invite me. I mean, it's like, I'm not kidding. It's like, it probably, honestly, by features and everything, is better than my house would be, because I have an old house. And no, it's like, I'll go in it, I'll visit you in it, but no, I'm not staying the night in it. Park me next to a hotel. I think it has everything to do with indoor plumbing. I actually went to therapy. I have toilet phobia, like bathroom. So the concept that if it's not plumbed and it goes away somewhere freaks me out. So for the longest time in my life, I couldn't go to public restrooms. I'm not one of those like the girls, oh, let's go to the bathroom. Let's chat in there, let's check ourselves. No, I'm like, I'm in and out of there, and that's even if I manage to make it there in the first place. It took me a lot of years to go into therapy and hypnotherapy to get over that. I couldn't do it. Even in my own house, growing up in my house, I could only use one bathroom, mine. In my house right now, I have 3 bathrooms. I will only use mine. It's a weird thing. It's an ailment. It's real. It's real. Oh, I love hypnotherapy. I enjoyed it because it allowed me I'm able to relax myself that way. I'm able to get past stresses by even doing self-hypnosis, which is actually deeper than meditation. Our culture, the Filipinos, are the types that if you meet somebody, you have to answer a series of questions to check the boxes. For example, oh, hello, what's your name, Dolly? Ah, what's your last name, Pangan? Oh, are you from? Who are your parents? Oh, if they're your parents, you must be related to. You speak well. Where'd you go to school? Really? Do you have a job? Where do you work? And that's within the first 10 minutes of meeting somebody. I didn't subscribe to that. So even when I was a kid, in my own family, they used to criticize me by saying I was very Americanized, because I was very progressive in my thinking. Even as a young girl, I was always questioning things like, why don't we have divorce in this country? I would be very vocal about that in debates and stuff. I was very critical of the Philippines, our government and stuff, even when I was a young girl. But I wasn't an activist that way. I was an academic activist in terms of I'll write about it in school, I'll participate in debates and stuff like that. But I really did believe in divorce. Oh, fine. We have no divorce, but we celebrate mistresses. And by celebrate, I mean they're identified. Oh, this is the girlfriend of so-and-so who's married. There was even a time when I had a friend. It was more like I was listening to mothers of friends. And I specifically asked, why do you tolerate your husband having a mistress? And her answer was simply, well, because at the end of the day, all the needs of my family are met. So I can look the other way. And, jokefully, there was also an add-on to that. Somebody else is doing what I don't like to do anyway, so that's fine for me. For as long as my house is here, I'm enjoying my house. My children are educated. My children go to school. There's always food in the house. I have a driver. I can continue my lifestyle. Him having girlfriends doesn't bother me. If he can afford it, he can have it.
They have other men on the side then?
Nope, which is weird because the women that I knew, okay, the women that I knew that I was aware that their husbands had side jobs, no. Those particular women, no. They just enjoyed their lifestyle. Even my own mother. I would question her and I say, what if Papa had this? And she said exactly the same thing. Basta ba dito umuuwi? As long as he comes home to us. She goes, what I don't see for myself, She said she won't let it bother her. So that was when I really said, why don't you just divorce him then? Which we didn't have. My mother also said, when I really kept pushing for, would you just leave him already? For other reasons, I wasn't very close to my father. If I left your father, then what would I have taught you about marriage? Pressure.
What are your thoughts on there ever being divorce in the Philippines?
I think they should have it. That way they can be authentic. Get a divorce. Get out of bad marriages. There's so many bad marriages over there. There's so many abusive marriages over there. And it's tolerated because why? Because, oh, marriage is sacred. It's like, you got to start thinking of welfare. And it's detrimental to even the family unit to grow up in that type of environment, that type of home, if you even call it a home. And I've seen too many of it. I've witnessed too many of it. My own family, my immediate family, between my brothers and sisters, it existed. And that's what makes me precisely the rebel in my family. This is also very common, where seniority is major. Like, you don't answer back. You don't speak unless you're spoken to, and you just stay in the silent. It took me a long time to get to the adult table. And when I finally made it to the adult table, I didn't have a vote. I was like Rhode Island, You don't have a vote. I moved to the States when I was 23. When I turned 47, which coincidentally was the age my favorite sister, who was middle sister, passed away. And she was the first one to pass away in our family, and she was my favorite. It was a coincidence I turned 47. I told my siblings, I said, you know what? Today, I get to stand proud and say I am Americanized, because now I've lived in this country more than I've lived in the Philippines. And I chose to be American. My heart is Filipino, don't get me wrong. My heart is Filipino. I honor my Filipino heritage, but to me, that's all it is. That might come off offensive to other Filipinos. No, but I chose to be American. I wanted to come here and be my authentic self, because I felt very out of place in the Philippines with all my progressive thoughts. I wasn't part of the norm. I was different. When I decided I was going to marry my husband, it was like my sisters and brothers literally lined me up and said, you're not bred for that. That's the term. You're not bred for that. You're not going to survive in the States. You don't even cook. You don't do anything domestic. You don't know how to do nothing. And I said, I'll show you. Which I did. Yeah, one of my biggest faults is pride. If there's anything, it's like I do have much pride. I have very healthy self-esteem and self-confidence. I don't care about people's opinions. By I don't care, I mean it doesn't bother me. I don't move differently because somebody says something about it. I don't respond to criticism in that kind of way. I have very close, trusted people who have the ability to be honest with me. And the other side of that also is I'm always prepared to face the consequence of anything if I do make a mistake. It's not, I'm not the type to say, kasalanan niya, or that's somebody else's fault. If it's my mistake, I'll own it. I think I'm proud of that too. I have no difficulty asking for forgiveness. As I get older, it's something that's come much more easy for me to do. In my family, and as a culture, we're used to what they call tukso. You get teased, so you definitely grow skin. It's like, I don't really care. In my family, they would say, because I was the youngest and there was a big gap between me and the one before me, they would say things like, oh, we just picked you up from the garbage, or you were left at the front door, stuff like that. Which, if you were saying that to a child now, would be so devastating that kid's done for self-esteem, right? Well, growing up, I heard that all the time until I was old enough to just say, you know what? I mean, honestly, I said this. I said, you're probably right, because you're all ugly. I started to learn to just hit back. And that's how I got stronger and stronger into not caring.